The video here is to talk about how the supply chain participants to manage the challenges or how they may turn the crisis into the opportunities before we come out the key trends for display industry in 2026. Well, in response to all the unfavorable external market environment, in particular skyrocketing price increase on memory chips, ongoing war on Iran, the changed tariff policies, which are all pushing on the supply chain cost to a much higher level. TV, notebook PC, tablet, smartphone supply chain participants are all desperate to raise the prices to the market end to minimize their financial impacts. But it raises the big concerns how much the market demand will be impacted and how to protect their market shares if the industry rivals don't follow the upward price trend. Omdia recently have downsized the notebook PC and smartphone market demand forecast for this year, as it is believed the higher prices will eventually upset the market demand, regardless of the essential nature of these products. The display industry for IT and smartphones should have seen the correction. However, the situation in the TV industry is different. TV display makers are still receiving pretty robust demand at this moment, which encourage panel makers to keep their fab utilization at a relatively higher level in first quarter this year and also the earlier second quarters, though they all sense a high risk of demand correction sometime this year. Currently, Omdia only make a very mild market demand correction for TV market in this year, but we cannot rule out the possibilities. A bigger demand correction will be made if the mentioned crisis turns to a worse scenario. Most of TV brands keep their display unchanged for the time being. However, it is believed it's a matter of time the TV brands will be forced to cut their shipment target in the middle of this year. TV brands are all desperate to pass over the rising costs to the market end. However, the competition from Chinese brands will make it harder. We are seeing TV average selling prices remain low for the time being, but should increase in second quarter this year or the second half of this year in some marketplaces, especially China and North American market. TV makers must or need to shift to large and premium products in order to manage the memory cost share in their TV build materials. At the same time, we see TV, especially top TV brands, including Chinese top brands, they have secured the memory supply for this year with relatively competitive prices. However, the industry shakeout is happening because lower tier device makers, they are either short the memory supply or face the skyrocketing price hike. In this very challenging and crazy world, the crisis is the chance for big players, but crisis is the crisis for small players. This will mean eventually the bigger ones get bigger. For the longer term, the display makers can get pretty fair profit on the LCD TV open cell products, but TV set makers they suffer losses last year, and the situation likely become more serious in this year. Stabilisation is critical so that panel makers' supply control does not necessarily mean they can push up the prices, but to prevent the display price from falling. Finally, the key trend to watch in the display industry should include the global TV and IT device demand will be reduced so that the demand for the display will be impacted accordingly, while at the same time an industry shakeout is expected to happen. As a result, the customer selection portfolio and, on the other hand, the supplier-vendor sourcing strategy are critical survival kits for the display industry. That's all my sharing. Thank you for watching.